You are listening to the We Are Not Safe for Work podcast. Your hosts, Renee and Nadja, will dive into all the different reasons why some entrepreneurs become unemployable.
Welcome, everyone, to We Are Not Safe for Work live.
Let me go put this on live. I know, we're just doing all the things live.
Just jumping into 2025, like full 2 feet in, whatever. So happy New Year.
Hey.
How is life, the universe, and everything for 2025 so far?
I think it's pretty good so far. Like we already discussed, today is my first day back in my chair, so to speak. I kind of worked on things here and there occasionally, mostly just passwords as well, literally. And that was about it. So I had off, I think 20 days. Somewhere between 18 and 20 days.
That is a lot of days to be off. I mean,
really
it's great.
is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it was just nonstop too. Nonstop. There was never like a lot of me time. Not that I'm complaining, because I'm not complaining at all. It was a wonderful time, but the entire time was spent with family. Yeah. So all the family literally just left this morning. So yeah, so that was me. And you?
I had the full 2 weeks off. This is actually the first year. This is crazy to think about. This is the first year where I have had the 2 weeks off completely. Like the week of Christmas, the week of New Year's, because usually over the holidays, like I am on call for clients in case something comes up over the holidays. So I'm still like checking in. It's not like it's not a full day's work or anything like that, but like I'm checking my emails just to make sure that I haven't missed anything pressing. But this is the first year that I was actually able to not just shut down my computer and walk away from it, but like I never even had to open up my work email. And
That's great.
It was weird because that first day I was really tempted, but I was like, you know what? No. My whole thing is teaching people how to set boundaries, and this happens to be one of them. And so it's like, okay, practice what you preach, practice what you preach.
Well, it was really hard. We went to Denver and we drove from Texas to Denver, which is a 2-day drive.
Yeah.
And I had said, I think even on the show before, I really needed that 2 days to mentally detach.
Yeah.
And I really stopped working 2 days before that. So really it took me 4 days before I felt truly detached.
That's a lot.
I know. But I mean, this is what I do with my time, is think about work on work, talk about work, and it's not bad. Most people would hear that and go, oh, that's awful. Actually, it makes me really happy, which is one of the things I wanted to talk about. There's this guy, I think I've talked about it before, Cal Newport. He's a writer. Yeah. And I was listening to one of his episodes over the weekend. Wait, what day is this?
It's Monday.
It's Monday. Okay, yeah. Over the weekend, and he was talking about when he goes on vacation, him and his wife finally figured out after years that he got grumpy if he didn't get to spend a little bit of time every day on his work. And his work is writing. So even on vacation, he spends about an hour writing, and he's a much happier person if he does that, because he really cares about his work. He's very passionate about it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to feel too detached from it. And I think that's okay. I think that's interesting. Now, I pretty well detached. It sounds like you pretty well detached.
Yes.
Yeah. We only had one real crisis with work while we were out. Did you have any crises? Did you have anything you had to fix or do?
No,
that's
didn't.
great.
Knock on wood.
That is amazing. Yeah.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
Because when you live in chaos and your constant is to fix things.
Yeah.
When there's no opportunity to do that because everything is working, it's weird. Like it's great, but also it's like, did I just put myself out of a job? Like what did I do?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
It was interesting because we, well, not we, I scheduled all of the newsletters for the year, the rest of the year before I left. Because
Yeah.
normally one of the things that I need to do is send out newsletters, but I took some time and scheduled every one of them. So
Okay.
now I'm officially
Oh,
out of
good for
newsletters.
you.
But yeah, but it was, dude, it was exhausting to do that. Um, I hate sending newsletters, just the technical aspect of it all. But so it was like I had to sit down for like 2 days and do nothing but schedule newsletters. But I'm so glad that I did because I didn't have to think about it. And it was just that because that's the most everything else in blogging can wait unless there's a
Yeah.
crisis with something breaking, which
Uh-huh.
happens plenty. But um newsletters is the one thing that you got to keep moving with.
Yeah.
But I
How
scheduled
many
those and
newsletters did you bulk create or
so
schedule
let's
ahead of
see,
time?
2 a day most days. So probably 40. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I know. It was intense.
Oh
But
my gosh.
yeah.
I was thinking, oh, maybe it was like 10,
No. No.
40.
Roughly. Yeah, I haven't counted, but roughly, yeah.
I mean, good for you. Like that takes a lot of discipline too, because I have not done anything with my email list. And actually, spoiler alert, that's one of my 2025 goals that's on my whiteboard right now.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Speaking of goals,
yeah, speaking of goals, do you have some?
I have a lot.
Well, first, before we even get into that, how do you feel about goals?
How do I feel about them?
Yeah.
So when it comes to goals, if I'm going to be completely honest, I have a love-hate relationship with goals, only
Okay.
because as a type A personality, Enneagram, what am I, seven wing three or three wing seven? I
I don't
think
even
it's
know what
seven
you're
wing three.
saying. Okay.
Anyways, because of my personality, I am an overachiever. So when it comes to
No
setting
kidding.
goals, when it comes to setting goals, I tend to be very optimistic and it just yeah, I tend to be very optimistic with goal setting. And so I have a tendency to be like, oh, well, a normal person would set this as their goal. We're going to go over here and this is going to be our goal, or this is going to
Okay.
be my goal. And again, it's a double-edged sword, and I set myself up for failure sometimes
Yeah.
because it becomes a little extreme, like to the point where it's like, that's really not achievable. And so I prefer the like having a goal that's a range, and that is
Mm-hmm.
something that I learned from when we were working together. Um, and we always had like a good, better, best goal. And
Right.
I love that, having a good, better, best goal. Um, but yeah, it's a love-hate relationship because if I don't meet the best goal, even if I meet the good goal, I'm still like kicking myself internally. Like I am berating myself for, well, why didn't you even hit the better goal? And then if you could
Yeah.
hit the better goal, then you were
Why
on the
didn't you?
way to
Yeah.
hitting the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a double-edged sword, but I've tried really hard to be more pragmatic and realistic about goal setting because you can always change it. And that's the other thing. Like I was always like very, well, this is the
Rigid.
goal. This is what we're sticking with. But now I allow myself to change my mind. After like we can set a goal for a quarter. And if we don't, if we need to adjust after the first quarter, okay, we'll adjust after the first quarter, which will adjust the whole year's goal, but
Mm-hmm.
it makes it more achievable and realistic and mentally it's better.
That's it. I think a lot of people get stuck in the shoulds with their goals
Yeah,
and instead
absolutely.
of the is. Um, I don't think you should set goals on what you think you should do. I think you should set goals on what you really want to do.
Oh, that's a really good
Yeah.
quote.
Well, okay, I made it up. But I think a lot of people, and I think that's why people also, I heard something yesterday. I can't remember who I heard it from. I'm so sorry to whoever said this. But it was some YouTube video I was listening to while I was puzzling. People, oh, it was James Clear. It was James Clear.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Um, people love to set New Year's resolutions, and because somebody was asking him, how do you feel about those? And he said, well, they're traditions. It's a traditional thing to do, and there's a
Hmm.
reason for it. People like new goals, new starts, fresh starts. He said, but
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think he brought up the idea of every day is a new day and a new fresh start. So why
Okay.
not, if you have a goal, just treat every day as though it's the new, fresh, exciting day to do
Hmm.
this goal.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting perspective, and I liked that a lot because I hate New Year's goals. Because in my mind, if you've got a new goal that you want to achieve, it doesn't matter what day it is,
Yeah, just do it.
just start.
Yeah.
Just start. And don't wait. If you're willing to wait for a day to start,
Yeah.
then that's probably a good sign that it's not the thing to do for you.
Right, right.
Yeah. If it's when you can't wait to start that you have a higher likelihood of achieving that goal, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
am not an expert on this topic, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
So for
Well, see, now
me,
I'm stuck on what you were saying about goals being it shouldn't be what you or goal setting is less about what you think you should be doing and more about what you want to do because now I'm looking at my goals and I'm like, no, all of these are shoulds.
really, that's interesting. Like, give me one. Give me one.
So growing my email list every month. So I have it set to, the good, better, best is 15, 20, 25% every month.
So
And
let's
and it's a
pause there.
should. Yeah,
So which list?
my email list
Yeah,
from
for
from for Network Titan Solutions.
okay. Clarity, right? Um, so okay. And why?
Because I think I should grow my email list so
But
that
what would you do with it?
I'd be able to actually communicate with a pool of leads that are interested in what we have to offer.
So if you were going to set up a Facebook ad to grow your list, do
Hmm.
you know specifically who you would target?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Um, and then what would you email them? Like what some of the topics you would email them?
Well, one of the biggest topics that I would be emailing is or resources. So
Okay.
here are resources for you to be able to implement into your own business like right now. And
Hmm.
that was the number one thing when it comes to newsletters is it has to be actionable.
Yeah.
So excuse me, so not just fluff. Like I don't want to just send fluff for the sake of emailing people,
Hmm.
but like here is something that you can focus on for this week and here are the steps that you can take right now to
Do
achieve it.
the people that you want to email, do you think that they want to read emails?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So then why is it a should? Is what about it is unattractive to you?
So the reason that it's a should is because I've just shied away from growing an email list because I have always gotten clients by referrals.
Okay.
So, the we've done cold outreach lead gen before, and I mean, we can get good leads from it, but for the most part, like cold calling lead gen is tiresome. I mean, I don't do it. I hired someone to do it because they're
Yeah.
so much better at it than I am.
Yeah. Totally get that.
But the downside to that is like I'm still going to talk to somebody who doesn't really know who we are, what we do, what we can do. It's still it's still a sales call. And I get it. Like business is all about sales, generating sales
Sure.
and things like that. But it's a very different approach when it's a referral because if somebody is referred to me and they are reaching out to our company and saying, "Hey, we worked with," or I talked to X, Y, and Z, you have worked with them before. I have this problem. They said that you were really good at solving this problem that I have. Okay, now all I need to focus on is the actual conversation of, okay, well, tell me all about you.
Yeah.
Tell me all about your company. Let's have a conversation about that. Like, where do you think you're stuck? Why do you think you need this? Um, and it's less about, the more I'm talking out loud about it, I'm realizing that it's a perspective thing. I approach lead generation as I have to sell myself to them.
Right. Right.
Whereas a referral is more about, well, is this a good fit for us to work together?
Right. I think it's interesting. I'm a huge proponent of newsletter lists, but I think they're expensive. They're a lot of work, and you got to have a good purpose for it. You
Yeah,
don't want it to be a vanity metric.
right. Exactly.
And so it's like, do you need more leads?
I would like more leads. If I'm
Okay.
going to continue scaling the company, then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think it's an excellent way for you to grow your business
Hmm.
personally. But again, I think it could lead to things for you that you didn't even think of yet.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's a great idea. But if there's something about it that you're not liking, you need to really think about what that is, because otherwise you're not going to do it. And you're just going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money and not do anything with
Yeah.
it. Maybe, are you nervous about writing them?
I mean, maybe. I think maybe it's the marketing of it, or not the marketing. What am I trying to say? The visual aspect, because in my head, I'm like my ideal clients don't don't care about the frou-frou stuff. Like it doesn't have to be the most beautiful thing for them to look at. It just needs to be, here is something that you can do right now and just follow these instructions and it's a resource. And then they
Hmm.
can save it for later or they can go ahead and implement it right away. But like the graphics don't have to be phenomenal. But in so I know that, right? In my head, I know that. But on the other hand, I'm like, oh, but I want to make it pretty. I want to make it like visually aesthetic. And so it's appealing or whatever. So I get caught up in that.
It's so funny you say this because Andy and I have this conversation all the time about
Like a
our
form
newsletter.
over function thing.
Yeah, ours has no graphics in it. Our newsletters that I
Oh,
send out, no graphics, only links, very few words, and is very simple. And other recipe creators send out these beautiful newsletters that have all these gorgeous graphics and all this stuff. She's like, why don't we do that? And I keep showing her when we do that, our click-through rate is dramatically lower.
mm-hmm.
So I have A/B tested this to death, so I know what works really well for us.
Yeah.
And so you should do the same thing. You should start off with no graphics
Okay.
and then build in and do some A/B testing. If I have no graphics, this is what happens. If
Yeah.
I have graphics, this is what happens, because every market is different too. But
You're right.
um, I know for us what works best. And I try and experiment a few times a year, and the differences are dramatic for us. And so, newsletter, our primary goal, our whole business model is built around newsletters. So that is the ultimate primary function for us is newsletters, is
Okay.
growing our list. So yeah.
Well, now that the more you're saying stuff and the more I'm thinking about it and things like that, I'm starting to think that it's going back to my whole like people pleasing tendencies because I want
Hmm.
people to like it, which means I want them to like me.
Yeah. And the funny thing is too, we tend to create what we like,
Yeah,
but what we like and what our people like
are
or
two different
need,
things.
not always the same thing. And so you have to keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
Um, and you want to stand out as well. I took
Yeah,
an
yeah.
amazing last year, 2024. I took a life-changing newsletter course. It was incredible. It was by Scott DeLong. And man, what a just it I grew my as a result of that, I grew my list. I think when I started last year, I should look. Hold on. Let me log in. I want to say I grew my list by 25,000 last year.
Wow.
I wonder if there's some way for me to find out.
And that's mostly organic?
No, no, almost all paid.
Okay. Okay, so I'm totally multitasking, which is terrible. Like I know I shouldn't
Oh,
do
what are you
that.
doing?
Well, I opened up Facebook because I was like, "Oh, I need to share the link for this on my personal profile, right?" And Facebook likes to show me stories like
Oh yeah.
from my archives or whatever. Okay, tell me this isn't like serendipity or this isn't a sign. My story from 2 years ago was me sharing something that says, instead of making a to-do list, make a to-feel list. How do you want to feel today, this week, or this year?
Oh well, yeah. That's great.
What?
Okay, I grew my newsletter list by 20,000 last year.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
great though. And these are people who have expressed an interest. It's not just a spray and pray kind of thing, right?
I don't know. What do you mean by that?
Spray and pray. Like you didn't just shoot out an ad and then it's like bots clicking. Like this is people that have given you their email address in exchange for something else, or they've said, "Yes, I want to receive your email."
Yeah, so I have very targeted Facebook ads
Yeah.
that I run,
Okay.
and then they opt in according to that, and then for in exchange for the opt in, they get a PDF download. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So, and the churn is high. It can be high, but that's always
Sure.
true when you get
Yeah.
a large list. It's funny that you bring that up though, because one of the things that we did in the beginning of the site to grow the list, which I think worked well, but it was a little more of a exactly what you're bringing up thing,
Mm-hmm.
was that did a lot of giveaways.
Okay.
And the problem with that, the good and the bad, we grew the list really quickly, but we ended up with a lot of people that signed up just because they wanted to sign up for the giveaway, not because they wanted to actually get the newsletter.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay.
Yeah. And that was probably half and half. It was still worth it. I would still
Yeah.
actually um highly recommend it as a method to grow a list. The Facebook ad is what did it for us, which was a huge part of the course from Scott DeLong that I took,
Mm-hmm.
was how to optimize that ad to get it right so that you're getting the right kind of subscribers and
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So, and again, by the nature of a list, you get a ebb and flow of subscribers. So people unsubscribe every day. And at first, when you have a large list, that can feel very painful. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
that it ever feels good. But once you start paying a decent chunk of change for the list too, you're like, okay, um, that's cool. Thank you for unsubscribing.
Right. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think our list could still be optimized, but
Mm-hmm.
right now I'm really focused on growth.
Yeah.
Like here on December 28th, 19 people canceled
Okay.
um
Or unsubscribed.
on unsubscribed. Yeah. On December 26th, I mean 22nd, 24 people canceled, but 72 people, I'm sorry, 96 new people signed up.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's That's an actually pretty normal day.
Mm-hmm.
There's another day, 96 people, 10 cancellations, um, 74, 6,
Well, okay, see,
90,
but
20.
so
Yeah.
for your recipe site, okay,
Hmm.
I feel like the reason that watching your email list that closely is more important for a different set of reasons because you your goal is traffic, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
your goal is traffic, whereas somebody else who is building an email list, like for me, my goal isn't necessarily traffic. Like
Right. It's
I don't
completely different.
necessarily
Yeah.
want views on my website because that's not how I'm monetizing it.
Hmm.
I I would I wouldn't watch my email list as closely as that
Yeah.
only because I want to keep the people who will end up purchasing or, you know, signing up for our services kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Which also means you don't need as big of a list. Right.
right,
Right.
exactly.
So my question to myself is, which is, I think, an unreasonable question, but it is the question, how can I get the newsletter to 100,000 subscribers by Q4? I
Okay.
don't know. I don't have a good, I mean, I know the
Yeah,
answer if I wanted to spend the money, but
sure. Yeah.
but they would, the cost of that would be a very large investment, and the investment would pay off. I trust that, but it
Hmm.
wouldn't pay off until 2026.
Right.
Because see, here's the other weird thing with our stuff. So like let's say that I
Yeah,
got the Q.
yours is on a delay.
That's right.
Yeah.
So delayed gratification as far as spend all the money to get it there by Q4, and then
Hmm.
Q4 brings in, hopefully that list would bring in, a nice chunk of traffic, but I wouldn't even see that money until April of 2026. So anything I spend right now, I couldn't see a payoff until April of
Yeah.
next year. And here I'm sitting in January. So I have to manage my money along that path too,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, so it gets really complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so for me, it's a little bit different. Like in our industry, in our business,
Hmm.
if we see an increase in like leads, right? Especially warm or hot leads,
Hmm.
then we get an increase in signing on clients, which means an increase in revenue as soon as they sign. Because when
That's
they
right.
sign, they
That's
put down a
right.
deposit. So
That's right. Yeah, it's a completely different way of doing business, really.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
fascinating. And it
Although
took me a few
it would be
years.
great to have like a little bit of that, all right, well, let's increase traffic to our website. But also that would mean I would need actual like content on my
Content.
website.
Yeah.
Like you would look at my website or you have seen my website, but you'd look at it and be like, this is nothing. Like this tells me nothing.
Yeah. Let me see how many articles we have published now. Could
I'm
get
like, I
you.
have three,
Yeah. Let's see.
maybe. See, now I'm gonna look because this is so embarrassing. I'm sorry,
Well,
guys.
it's not fair to compare it to me. I
No,
mean,
I know it's not fair to
uh,
compare, but still.
okay. We have 3,275 blog posts.
I have two published blog
Good for
posts.
you. Good for you. That's
One is
great.
one is making healthcare easier, the magic of automation, and then cracking the code, how to make healthcare automation work for your practice.
Yeah.
Two. I have
Yeah.
two. And that was when we were like really heavily hitting the healthcare industry. And so now we have okay, because there was a niching down, so we niched down just to healthcare. But with everything that's going on in healthcare, with all the instability, like with the insurance companies and everything like that, it makes it a little bit more difficult. And that's when, okay, so healthcare is more of it's a similar scenario for you, Renee, which is I can get a lead, like we can get a lead in the healthcare industry in a private practice, but like from the time that we get the lead to the time that we sign the client, so that lead time is very long.
Right.
because it's not like when we work with a small business that has like they're a service-based business or they're a digital creator, and then it's like they we have a conversation, we have a consultation call, and then typically 1 or maybe 2 weeks at the most. That is that is the length of time that elapses between conversation to signing.
Yeah. See that? Yeah. That's great.
So it's a much shorter time frame. So it is industry specific, and that's one of the reasons why instead of really focusing on like private practices, we have taken a step back and it's still like health and wellness, but now we're focusing on wellness industry. So
Mhm.
that includes places like, med spas, dental offices, eye doctors, mental health practices, like
Mhm.
now it's wellness overall instead of just a healthcare private practice.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And that seems to be a nice like mix right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I'm
That's
afraid to
good.
go like, well, not afraid, but I'm like, we shouldn't again, we shouldn't take one more step back yet because we don't have enough or we haven't had enough time in this like stepped back niche to really determine like, okay, is this our sweet spot?
Mm. Mhm. And with your newsletter, your content could be, it doesn't need to be medical specific. It
Right,
could be
exactly.
business
Hmm.
and, specific and tech.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so what else? Do you have another, since you have it on the board over there?
I'm like I'm afraid to share some.
Well, then
I'm
don't.
afraid
That's
to share
okay.
them
That's okay. You don't have to.
because there's so many. I mean, there isn't so many, but yeah, so grow email list by 15, 20, 25% each month. And that's like the optimization or optimizing lead
Do you
generation
have a
or whatever.
path of how to grow the list? Do you have a,
I do. I've kind of structured it out. Right, it's not at its final stage right now, but like basically so I pulled up my thought dump when I was
okay.
whenever the team was putting together these goals, right? So when I put down my thought dump, like one of them is like basically redesign the website so that it's optimized for lead gen. So I have a bunch of different things to change. So make it more like here's the problem, here's the solution,
Mm-hmm.
kind of more conversational
Mm,
because my like the website right now is it was very technical. And so again, like you said, you create content based on the things that you yourself like, right? And then I
right.
realized this is not what our ideal clients, this is not the way they speak. Because typically when I speak in technical terms, then they're like, "Can you tell me like I'm a fifth grader?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Make it easier to understand. And so what I found is like, I mean, not talking in memes, but like making it more like referring to pop culture stuff, then they understand it so much easier. And so we've already started transitioning into that. So we started doing that in Q4 already,
Yeah.
but now I have a much better direction on how to change it. Um, Lead magnets. So we did an audit of our content
Mm-hmm.
and apparently we have a bunch of lead magnets that have just been sitting there that we haven't put out into the ether or it's been put out into the ether, but we haven't been specific about it. So like actually promoting like these lead magnets that lead into the conversations that lead into the client acquisition like
Mm-hmm.
funnel.
Yeah.
And then I have referral campaigns and then Targeted blog posts. Again, that's one of the things. This is why it's a little embarrassing to share because I'm like, that is a should. It's a should goal because I don't want to write a blog post only because my definition of a blog post is like it's an article, right?
Hmm.
I'm not a copywriter. I'm not a writer.
That's what ChatGPT is for, to help you. I'm
That
not
is what chat.
saying to write it all for you.
Well,
I'm
right,
saying to help
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yes. But that's what I'm saying. So to me, my definition of a blog post is it's an informational article. But in my head, I'm thinking about it in terms of like a medical journal, and
No,
that is
no.
not what my or our ideal client thinks of a blog post. To them, a blog post is kind of like it's more like almost like a journal entry, like a step into the mind of the writer, like, and then
Hmm.
how their thought process went through the steps of like solving this problem.
Yeah,
So I need
that's
to
interesting.
redefine things. Yeah,
Yeah. I really do think ChatGPT could help you with that.
I think so too. So I'll have to
Yeah.
reach out to you separately to
Sure. We could even do a workshop.
oh, yes, please, because I use Chat GPT like everybody else uses Chat GPT.
We could make it into a video where we record it. I mean, if you're okay with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yes, yes.
Okay,
Because
let's do that.
when it comes to like AI prompt writing, like I said, I use AI probably in a more stereotypical manner.
Yeah.
Where, like because I have it on my phone. Thank you,
Yeah.
Renee. I now have
Yeah.
it on my phone. But instead of like going to IMDb and looking up like an actor or whatever,
Yeah.
like I'll ask ChatGPT, like, tell me about the most recent movies this specific actor has been in.
Right. Yeah. No, we do that too. That's a good
Yeah.
use of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay.
that's the kind of
Okay.
stuff that I use it for. I haven't heavily used it for business purposes because I just don't know how to structure it. I have frameworks and I know how to do I know how to do some things, but the things that I do know how to do with ChatGPT that makes it really, really powerful, or not just ChatGPT, but just AI in general, um, they are long form prompts.
Well, and let me tell you, like yesterday, I was trying to put something together for work. I had sat down for a little while yesterday, and very briefly, like 20 minutes. And I didn't even know what I wanted yet. So I started saying, hey, I have this thing on my mind. I kind of want this thing. I'm not sure what it is exactly. Can we talk about it and help me figure it out? And that's what we did.
Oh, that's
So
so easy.
stop being so formal about it is the first key.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think,
That's
yeah,
a
we
great
should do
tip.
that. Yeah, let's do that next week. That would be a good idea.
Yes. Okay. So let's workshop that. I'm
Yeah.
going to, oh, here's another thing. See, now it's a this is my intentional action. My intentional action right now is I'm going to open up my calendar. And for our call next week, I am going to enter in the description exactly what we just said that we're going to
Okay.
talk about then, so that when it comes to Monday and we're like, what did we say we were going to do today?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here, it's right there.
And then I have the
So that's
perfect
something that
topic.
I've learned too, intentional actions.
And then the following week, there's something that we should workshop that I need your help with.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. What?
Okay. I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this would be a terrific workshop for 2 weeks from now because I have to
Okay.
solve this.
Mm-hmm.
I need to figure out how to document the flow of technology. Here's what I mean. And I don't even know if that's the right word for this. So if my domain is at domain place A and then my domain points to Cloudflare and then it goes to the host, but the host doesn't do the email, so the email is set up at Google
Uh-huh,
for
uh-huh.
this domain.
Oh my gosh,
How do
I have
yeah,
a
how do
mind
I
map
document
already.
that? Yeah,
Yeah,
how
no,
do
like
I
as you're saying it, I'm
document
like,
that?
I have that.
Great. Okay, so that'll be the next Monday. Yeah,
Fantastic. Okay.
yeah,
Ooh, and then these workshops, like, I mean, we could do them live
absolutely. We could. Yeah,
if everybody else wants to hear it live, you know?
sure. Yeah,
I also feel like live is a lot more authentic.
that's true. That's true. Yeah,
And isn't that what we're going for? We are going for
we are.
authenticity. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
See, we are trying really hard to be intentional about we are not safe for work. That's the other thing. I haven't gone through like goals for NSFW.
Mm-hmm.
WANSFW. Like, that's such a long acronym. We are
Yeah.
NSFW. Um, so I think we should take some time. I don't know, maybe we could do it on Thursday
Okay.
because
Let's.
we have a
Yeah.
standing uh meeting or a standing catch up for then too. But we could do our 2025 goals
Okay. I like it.
for we are not safe for work.
Maybe we could just come up with a whole bunch of workshop ideas. And that would be this year's thing. Yeah, let's talk about that on Thursday.
Oh, yes. Okay. Woohoo.
I just saw on the news that Kamala Harris has certified her own defeat.
She certified her own defeat.
Yep, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I have my Kamala shirt on today in support of her going through this
Oh, how
difficult time. Yeah.
fun.
So,
So they did
um,
that just now
I don't
or
know. I just happened to just
oh,
popped up on
okay.
my screen. I don't know when it was done.
Okay. My
So,
goodness. Well, speaking of, you know, current events and things like that, um, how crazy that was it Reagan? No. Yes. No. Who
what?
was the Carter? Who was the president that just passed away or the former president?
Carter.
I'm
Carter.
like
Yeah.
Reagan.
No, Carter. Yeah.
I am very foreign. Okay.
You're an American girl.
Oh yes, I am. Yes, I absolutely am an American. Oh well, I guess that's very American, right? Like I don't
Not,
know
yeah,
the history very
absolutely.
well.
Yeah. That is very American. Oh my God. Okay.
Was he 100?
Yes. Yeah, Carter?
Okay,
Yes.
that is crazy.
Okay. Not even
Sorry.
slightly related. Not even slightly related, but something that's crazy. Um,
Uh-huh.
when Andy and I are going on road trips like this, we like to listen to an audiobook. So
Okay, yeah.
we started, we're nowhere near finished because it's really long, but we started the Walter Isaacson's version of Leonardo da Vinci. So
Okay, wait, say that again?
Walter Isaacson, the author, the writer, Walter
Okay.
Isaacson. Okay. It's about Leonardo da Vinci. He did Steve Jobs, Elon Musk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Leonardo da Vinci. So what do you know about him?
Leonardo da Vinci, painter.
Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah.
Um, painter.
Um,
I
this is live,
What
so I can't
else? What
cuss,
else
can
do I
I?
know about Leonardo da Vinci? Painter, sculptor, like just a prolific artist,
Yeah. Yeah.
creator. That's really
Creator,
all I know about Da Vinci.
architect.
Something
Yeah.
to do with architect. Yeah, like he was very
He created machines.
um yeah. Oh, what am engineer.
Engineer.
That's the
Yeah.
word I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
An
I keep
inventor.
telling everyone this and everybody was just like, whatever. Um, he was one gay mofo.
Really?
Oh yeah. I was blown away by this.
Okay.
He wrote he wrote like a book that was like an ode to the penis.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we were like, listen, we're driving around, driving down the highway where this comes on, and we're both like, wait, what?
Oh my
What?
gosh.
Yeah, I I mean, he seemed to have plenty of respect for women, but he was just very, very gay, and he just really loved men. And he wrote in one of his journals about how he just could not understand the concept of straight sex and how strange and weird it is. And he just finds it disgusting, and he would never do that.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I was like, what? Okay. Anyway, it was a whole thing in the book, and it was just we were just dying laughing the whole. We're driving down through Kansas, just laughing our heads off because we were just like, okay, okay, yeah, and
Well, isn't that a great example of how somebody's sexual orientation has nothing to do with their genius?
I know. Apparently,
It doesn't affect
Michelangelo was also
Michelangelo too?
yeah, extremely gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Well, and isn't it during that time, wasn't it more not necessarily like acceptable, but it was kind of like that wasn't a big deal.
actually, I that's what we thought as well, but
It
it
was?
turns out, yeah, really was. He apparently was accused in his community twice and got oh anyway, nobody after the accusations happened, it was a really big deal, went through court and all this stuff, and it was a
Yeah.
big thing. But at the end, witnesses kind of faded away and the accusers never came into the light, so both times he got away with it. But I guess the consequences would have been really severe.
Because I'm
Um,
trying to think of like what
but
what time period was it where everybody was just like, love is love, who cares?
well,
We don't
apparently,
discriminate.
yeah, apparently it was pretty common, but not supposed to
Oh,
be. Yeah,
okay, okay.
because he talks about at
So
one
it
point
was
how
common, but like on the DL.
that's right. Because he talks about,
Okay.
how, the best way to show your love to your fellow dude, obviously I'm summarizing here, is, a little
Yeah,
hanky
right.
panky.
Yeah.
Hanky panky between men is just, almost common courtesy. Um,
Interesting. All
yeah, and I
right.
was like, okay, okay. Um, but he was also, this is really, and I think this is the more relevant to their show and interesting part. He had, he never published anything, even though publishing was a thing back
Okay.
then. And he hardly ever finished anything. He wouldn't finish things. He was a giant loser in a lot of ways because he would be hired to do some project and he'd just get bored and move on. And he just really
Okay.
struggled to finish. So many things of his are unfinished. I mean, obviously the Mona Lisa is finished, the Last Supper is finished, but
Hmm.
so really important works, but there's so many of his things that were just never complete. He would start, so he would start things like he would start writing a book and then he would just not publish it. He would start a painting and he
Okay.
would carry it around with him for years and years and years from place to place as he was moving around and never finish it. He just wouldn't finish things. He would get hired. He would sometimes have to give the money back, or he would, or they would give it. They started giving because he was so bad at completing things that people kind of caught on and would hire him to do work,
Yeah.
but start paying him in installments so that he could,
Sure.
that they could
Yeah.
kind of prompt him to finish. And
Yeah.
yeah, he was really, really bad at anything being done. So it was
So
really, it's
that
really,
just reminds me, it was several years ago. Um, I don't know if you remember her, but her name is Leanne. She was part of Screw the 9 to 5
oh
back in
yeah.
the day too.
I feel like I do remember her.
She introduced me to a book called The Renaissance Soul.
Oh,
And I
fun
I
fact.
bought the book and I read it.
It's pronounced the Renaissance.
I'm sorry, the Renaissance.
Yeah. Let's get that right.
Okay. I will continue saying it Renaissance because that's how it comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the book, she introduced me to the book because that is it is a characteristic of a Renaissance soul.
Every time they said that, I
You are
cracked up.
interested in everything.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, you're interested in everything. You love to start new things. You have a difficult time finishing it, and it's because it's the jack of all trades things. Like you want to experience everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Yeah. And that was
that's what it
definitely
reminds
him.
me of. Like, yeah, so Da Vinci just he wanted to experience all the things. And just like me, because I am absolutely guilty of this, like I will start something and once I've done it and I feel like I did a pretty good job with that, like that's it. Okay, what's the next thing that I can do now? So once I master something, I want to go learn something new.
Mm.
Like go be bad at something else so that I
Yeah.
can master that thing too.
I
Yeah.
feel the same.
So
Yeah.
a great example is like crocheting. Do you know how many crochet projects I have semi-finished?
Ah,
A, a lot.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you know how many crochet projects I have actually finished?
Oh, I don't know. A
Maybe
few?
maybe like half a dozen,
Yeah, okay.
a few. Yeah. And the reason I finished those is because that was a brand new pattern, like a brand new technique that I hadn't done before. Like I had never made stuffed animal crochet thing or
Yeah, I've never done
crocheted a
that
stuffed
either.
animal before. I'd
Yeah.
never done that before. So during the pandemic, when everything like was shut down back in 2020, I was like, "Oh, this is a great project for me because I've never done this before." I have crocheted like scarves, I've crocheted granny squares, so those are
Hmm.
things that I've done before, but I had never crocheted a stuffed animal. And so I made two, one for each of my daughters, and they were different. Like one was a unicorn, or hang on, because she will get mad at me. What is the unicorn with the wings? Is that a Pegasus?
Pegasus. Pegasus. Yeah.
Okay. So one was a Pegasus. And then the other one was a wizard cat. So it was a cat with a
Yeah.
wizard hat. And the only reason I finished those was because I had never made that before.
Mm.
And then I finished a large basket with handles because I'd never made something that was
That's
like
cool.
shaped
Yeah.
like that with handles
Yeah.
before. Um, and that was it was a baby shower gift for one of my colleagues. Um, what else have I done? And then, like I said, like the scarves and stuff like that. I have never crocheted a beanie, so that interests me. I'm like,
Oh God,
I
I've
could
done
try
so
to
many of
crochet a
those.
beanie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So once, and now that I've done the stuffed animals, I probably won't crochet them again.
Mm.
I mean, maybe at some point I will, but it would have to be a completely different animal.
But I think that's okay.
Like
You know,
I would not
I
want to crochet a Pegasus again.
I'm convinced, I thought a lot about this a lot over the break. I'm convinced the secret to success is being comfortable being bored because
Mm,
doing the same task repetitively is boring. And
yeah.
so my goal for this year is to be okay being bored because
Okay.
I need to publish recipe after recipe after recipe after recipe after recipe after recipe, and all the steps that involves. It's not just about publishing a recipe, but it's doing the same things over and over and over.
Hmm.
It is so boring. And I'm convinced that you have to be to get good at something and to grow something, you have to do it repeatedly. And it gets boring because it's repetitive. Even though it's a different recipe, it's still the same steps. It's still the same keyword research. It's still the same, I'm not learning
Hmm.
anything new. Last year, I had to learn everything new because Google screwed up our lives. And so
Yeah.
I had to learn everything new. And last year, I had an exciting year of learning all kinds of new stuff. And you know what I got to do this year? I got to do that stuff. And so,
So my question then is how do you become comfortable with being bored? Like, do you have kind of a strategy on how to become comfortable with that or how to push through when it becomes hard? Because I can imagine that that's going
Grit.
to
It's
be
just grit. I
a
don't think it's
struggle.
anything. Yeah, I don't think it's anything beyond grit.
Okay.
And grit is my superpower, really.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm really good at it. And I think I'm good at it for really weird reasons.
Yeah.
And I think it's the only thing I have going for me, really. And so it's just grit.
Okay.
I can't I think the answer is sometimes just that simple. I don't
Yeah.
think that sometimes if you because by the way, searching for a solution to that struggle could become a distraction.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if I mean, okay, look, and think about it like this too. People I can't speak to now. I just don't know enough about it now. But I'm gonna speak back to people who had really good jobs building cars in the 80s, right?
Mhm.
They worked on an assembly line. Their job was to put this screw into this place, pull it out, put this screw into this place, pull it out. The car moved forward. The next person did the next part. And for 20 years, that's what you did. And you
Yeah.
made a damn good living doing it, right?
Yeah.
But you can you imagine anything more boring than that?
Yeah.
Um, so this year, my job is to do this thing and to do this thing and to
Mhm.
do this thing and to do this thing and to do this thing. And it is a privilege to get to sit in this house and do this thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so I have to remind myself of that because there will be tons of things that will come up along the way, you
Mhm.
know, but that's what it is. It comes down to grit sometimes.
Yeah. No,
And not
I
everything is
agree.
shiny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there isn't that kind of the lesson across the board. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you have to deal with the less fun, more uncomfortable parts of work
Hmm.
in order to see that success on the other side. Because also,
Hmm.
what is your definition of success? You know, is it finally having, I don't know, like is money your benchmark for success? Not you
Yeah,
yourself,
I know
Renee.
what you're saying.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like in
Yeah.
general, you like is that your benchmark for success, or is like happiness level your benchmark for success, or purpose, is that your benchmark for success? Because to me, like for me, purpose is very high on my like I want to feel like I'm doing something that makes a difference somewhere.
Yeah.
And I know that's a very selfish, because it is. It's a very selfish goal to have a purpose, right?
Hmm.
Because
But,
yeah,
but
I
it
mean,
doesn't have to be. I
well, I
think
think it
that
is because my motivation is to make a mark somewhere somehow, right?
we're not all Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa wasn't even Mother Teresa, you
That's
know?
true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's okay. I think the key is do no harm.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
What are some of your other 2025 goals? Like, because the be comfortable with being bored. I love that that's more of just an overall, because it's not just business related. It is
Hmm.
a state of being, right?
Right, right.
So are all of your
Um,
goals like that, or are they also like
no, I
work
think
specific?
yeah, I would suggest that all of my most of my goals this, well, I have one goal that I don't know if it's unreasonable or not, and I need to figure that out. But I would like, as you know, and I'm sure it's come up, I'm structured different physically than the average person.
Right.
But I want to know if it's possible for me to run around the block.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my personal goal.
Mm-hmm.
Is that possible? Um, I also, this is really funny, on the personal side, there's this, I don't play a lot of video games, but
Okay.
there's this one game that I absolutely love. I've loved it my whole life. It's called Civilization. Well, it's coming out with a new
Yeah.
version in next month in February. And so I want to set aside some time every week to try to play that
Hmm.
just for like an hour or two on the
Okay.
weekends, maybe. Um, I think that would be good. But that's that. Otherwise, I want to see if it's possible to grow my newsletter list to 75,000 or 100,000 this year.
Hmm.
Obviously, I know it's possible, but is it possible within my budget? Is really the question.
Okay.
Um, and so I'm going to work on that. And other than that, it is just about do the work, do the work, do the work. I don't have like a goal as far as how many I want to get published. The real question is how many can I publish?
Okay.
So, how can I continue to optimize my methods so that I can get more published? Because that plays into the newsletter too, because I need lots of new recipes and stuff, to help the newsletter stay not boring, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so really everything I have, even though it's all these side things like Pinterest is my primary brain focus. This is really funny. My primary business focus is to grow the newsletter. My
Okay.
primary brain focus will be on my Pinterest strategy. And
Okay.
that I know that sounds funny, but Pinterest feeds in. Pinterest is the right now money,
Yeah.
and the newsletter is my retirement fund.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. So that's something to think about.
That's great
So
though.
yeah, so I'm trying to keep it super simple.
Hmm.
That's
Well,
it.
you've left me with some things to think about once again in terms of perspective, like just changing the perspective and approach of some of the goals that I've already set. And I mean, it's great. Like I love it because it feels better
Yeah.
just looking at some of these goals and being like, "Oh, there's another goal. Like here's something that I have to do. Here's something I have to accomplish." And it doesn't inspire excitement.
Well, I'll give you a really weird personal example of something. So
Okay.
when you joined this runners group, it
Yeah.
got me thinking about running. And I knew that I could not begin to think about running. And running for me will just be like this little you know. But
Yeah.
I couldn't even begin to think about it until I could stretch my legs just slightly. So 2024, I did this really weird goal
Okay.
because bending over and trying to reach down to get something off the ground is hard for me just because of, again, my muscle structure. And so last year, I had this thing where every time I wanted to pick something up off the floor, like let's say it was a pair of socks,
Yeah.
I bent down, I did a squat to pick up. Usually in the past I'd pick up as many things as I could when I
Yeah.
squatted down, right? So this in 2024, every time I needed to pick something up, I could only pick up one thing at a time and I had to go up and down so that it got to where it didn't even, I could do it, pick 10, 20 things up and it was no big deal. When I
Okay.
started the year, it was really hard because my legs would just be killing me. And
Yeah.
so, but I knew in my mind, I want to try to run around the block. And I've had this goal in my mind for 2.5 years now.
Hmm.
And so now that I feel like I've done a little bit better and I ran from our house to the stop sign, which is not very far, it's just a half, you
That's
know,
great though.
half,
Yeah.
I mean, to the length of a house, but still, I mean, that's more than I've ever done my entire life. And
Right. Right.
so now the question is, and again, it may be an unreasonable goal. Maybe half a block is really all I'll ever be able to do. I don't know. But I built up to this point, so now we'll see what this year holds.
Well, I was going to say, but the thing is, you won't know until you try to achieve that
Yeah,
goal. And that's
yeah,
the other thing. I think that's a really important takeaway too, is that sometimes you will not reach the goal. And that in itself is a great lesson to learn too, because maybe that was an unachievable goal.
right.
And then
Yeah,
maybe that means, okay, reset expectations,
yeah,
um but also like not being able to achieve a goal isn't it doesn't mean that's a failure, and that this is something that I have to repeatedly remind myself, it's not that it's a failure, it's you have to find what was I supposed to learn from that experience, because you will learn something
Oh,
trying to
sure.
achieve a goal. That's awesome.
There.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for workshopping like this content, because what did I write here? Live workshop, how to use AI to help you create content strategy with Renee.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very good.
So that is exciting, and I hope you guys are excited for that
Yeah.
because
And then on Thursday, we'll workshop NSFW. So,
yes, I'm
okay.
excited about that.
Me too.
Faux show.
And then, hold on. On Sunday, you'll be here.
Yes, I am. Oh my gosh, is that this coming Sunday?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's so quick. Like, that was fast.
Yeah, I know.
Jays. All right, yes. Well, I guess I should pack or make
Well, you
sure
have
that
a
I
few
have
days.
clothes
Yeah.
to pack. Oh, well, I'm excited to be back in Dallas. I'm excited to hang out with you again.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this show. Like, I'm just excited all around.
Me
Oh,
too.
this
Me
is super
too.
exciting.
Yeah.
And I hope
Okay.
everybody finds it as exciting as we do.
I hope so. And if you're watching this and you have any workshop ideas for this year, let us know.
Yes, yes, please, because I mean, we can come up with a whole bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
But it would be great to know what you guys are interested in, because then we can cater to you.
That's right. Absolutely.
All right. Well,
Okay.
happy 2025.
Happy 2025. It's here.
Great start.
Yeah, I think so. Yay.
Yeah.